Now, another fundamental issue with the unfettered migration is the fraud. The fraud is just astronomical. All right, from the Somalis with the bananas and rice and fucking in Minnesota to the California shit show where people are finally actually getting arrested. Nick Shirley, absolute goat, met up with Scott Besson to actually discuss with him how we are going to be taking steps to arrest the fraudsters. I think that's awesome.
We think
I think that's just awesome.
it could be a $250 to $500 billion, so roughly 10% of the total federal budget.
Is it fair to say that?
So they're estimating 10% of the total federal budget is going to fraud. And then they just want to bleed you dry on taxes. It's like Zoran Mamdani can't have free buses. Yeah, we can't have free buses, guys.
The past 4 years, we were getting looted from fraudsters.
That's 100% accurate. If you're receiving public assistance, how do you have a Mercedes? How do you have a BMW? So we will track that down.
Today, we're here at the Treasury of the United States. It's essentially the Bank of America.
All right.
As over $6 trillion essentially leaves this building each and every single year.
That's
right
crazy.
now, with the fraud that's taking place here in the United States, they came up with a new fraud task force, and the Treasury is doing stuff different that they haven't done before to make sure that fraud is not taking place. Today, we're going to be interviewing with the Secretary himself, Scott Bessent.
Dude, this is freaking insane, man. This is actually awesome that we're actually making differences like this. You know, with Gavin Newsom slandering this guy, it only just gives him more power to interview more people and bring more attention to the fact that we are being pillaged and raped.
And this will be super important for you guys to understand what's taking place here inside our country to prevent fraud from taking place. And right now on the website, antifraudclub.com, we just released brand new hoodies right here asking, where did our tax dollars go? They actually kind of go inside this building. But now you can become an anti-fraud taxpayer club member. Just go to antifraudclub.com and you can go ahead, purchase a hoodie. And
I love how the left is like dying on the hill of like, no, actually fraud is good. It's like, it's honestly insane. You know, hey, leftists, who do you support more, American citizens or illegal aliens? And they're all like, illegal aliens. Oh, leftists, are you against fraud? It's like, you're a pervert for even questioning the Somali daycares.
And you can also sign up to get exclusive emails each and every single week as we report on the fraud that's taking place here inside of our country. Now let's get into the interview. You're over essentially the Bank of America here. You control the money and over the Treasury. Now with what you guys are doing with fraud, how are you guys going to be going about to tackle the fraud? And you guys just released a new whistleblower program as well.
Great. Nick, good to have you here. And 20% of the GDP of the U.S. comes through Washington, D.C. every year. And we believe that between 250, 500 billion is lost to waste, fraud, and abuse. And we think that
Crazy,
the best
dude.
way to stop that from happening is to keep it from getting out.
Well, now we know why the leftists were so anti-Doge. Right? Doge started and the left lost their fucking minds.
Because once you try to call it back, that's very difficult. So what we are doing, Treasury is leading an all-hands-on-deck effort. The Vice President has been tasked with the Fraud Commission. At Treasury, our lead effort is to integrate all the agencies and figure out where the money's going. We're setting up a do not pay system, which over time will allow us to follow the money. We will be able to follow whether it's HHS or HUD or anywhere else. Where is money going to? How do we find it? Are there unusual payments? Here at Treasury, we
All right.
collect something that the banks
Dude,
give us
things
called
are
suspicious
happening.
activity report.
You know, the people rose up, the people complained, and things actually happened because of it. Like, this task force is as a result of, in my opinion, social media conversation. You know, from Nick Shirley's videos to Asmongold or me or anyone else that's talking about it. You know, this is really an offshoot of the little people finally addressing things. Like, I know it's cringe to say, but you matter. I mean, obviously, on a cosmic scale, you matter. God created you for a reason. Sure, absolutely. Don't. But you impact American politics. All right, and that's insane.
SARS. So can we overlay the suspicious activity reports on top of these unusual payments, which we've been able to do in Minneapolis?
And prior to this, what was the government doing to make sure that money
Great
wasn't
question.
going to fraudsters?
Great
Which
question.
unfortunately, it was the opposite.
They weren't fucking doing anything. They were the fraudsters.
Under the Biden administration, to get money out during COVID, they took down all the guardrails, and they never put them back.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, COVID was one of the biggest scams in the history of our planet. Yeah, that scam was fucking diabolical.
Bobby Kennedy.
I don't think that they used it to, inject us with microchips or whatever the fuck, those guys were saying. But dude, the fraud. And also, I think part of it was just the fact that they could just lock down an entire country. They could just fucking lock down a whole country and enslave you just so easily.
He said at the inaugural day of the anti-fraud task force that the vice president convened, he said at HHS they had 60 people charged with preventing fraud. The Biden administration, they have fired all of them.
Wow,
so
dude.
again, the real thing is to keep the money from going out the door to the fraudsters. Very difficult to recover it. But one thing we are trying to do with recovery.
Very difficult to recover it. We would need to send rescue missions to Somalia. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying working your ass off, paying your taxes, trying to live month to month because your taxes are going away, and now you have to struggle to pay rent because someone in Somalia desperately needs your tax dollars. Hope that makes you feel good about yourself.
Is anyone wants to go to treasury.gov, we now have a site for whistleblowers. You can make up to 10%, 30% the reward for the money that Treasury
that's so
recovers.
Awesome. That's crazy. It's like a bounty hunter program. It's like actual open season on fraudsters. Everyone's invited.
So nothing comes out of the pockets of the American taxpayer. It's if you help us bring money back to taxpayers, we will pay you a bounty in essence.
Bro,
it's kind of like
so
when
sick.
we started having
Oh
all the
my
problems
God.
with suitcases at airports, on trains, on buses. If you see something, say something. So what we're asking American citizens to do now is, if you see something unusual, say something, and we can reward you for it.
Is it fair to say that for the past 4 years, we were getting looted from fraudsters, as there wasn't really any guardrails to stop the fraud?
That's 100% accurate. The American people are the most generous in the world, but American society, all societies and communities are based on trust. And if you lose
Well, not all societies. I mean, have you seen Africa?
trust at the very basic levels, if the citizens don't trust each other.
Look, I don't want to be rude here. This is going to get bordering. Some people are going to take this in a racist way, and that's not how I mean it at all. But before British colonialism, Zimbabwe were people in little mud huts throwing poop at each other. During colonialism, Zimbabwe was a flourishing city, a city of houses, brick and mortar houses, flowing water, fresh water, culture. After colonialism, Zimbabwe is people in huts throwing shit at each other. I feel like people are going to take this the wrong way. I feel like, I don't even, but the point is, not everyone is generous, is what I'm trying to say. Like, some cultures are less generous than others.
Then you can't have a community. So we're trying to bring that back.
So if I were to be a fraudster 3 years ago and I want to start a home healthcare business, how easy would it have been for me to get money from the federal government?
Well,
or a daycare, a Leering Center, for instance.
Yeah. In most cases, the federal
He
government
said the thing.
does block grants to states, so they dump it down into states. And like what you did in Minnesota was an incredible job of uncovering what had happened. But it's very easy because, again, the way the money went out the door, no accountability, and prosecutions are very difficult too because, and the fraudsters know. They know that if they keep their thievery below $1.5 million, $3 million, that the U.S. attorneys don't have the resources to go after them. Like, they want to have a big splashy 10 million headline. So like this whole ecosystem
That's
developed,
broken.
and as you discovered
What a broken
in
system,
Minneapolis,
man.
St. Paul, they learned how to do it. It was very unfortunate. The charity and state support just turned into businesses and LLCs and boxes.
Sorry, bro, that's not charity. I'm really tired of people conflating the government stealing my fucking money through taxes and charity. Okay, I am a religious man. I give charity. I give 20% of all of my income to charity by my own volition. That's what I do. That's my personal thing that I do myself. All right, and it has nothing to do with the government. And that is aside from paying the government fucking infinite taxes because these retards are greedy bastards. All right. So the reality is very simple. And it's that I am getting bled dry by the government. And then my tax dollars are not going to charity. They're going to government organizations and nonprofit organizations and retard organizations. They're going to teach. Don't worry, guys. We're just going to teach the Ugandans how to have underwater butt sex and gay LGBT tap dancing in Nigeria. All right. And I don't want to fund that shit. I don't want to fund that satanic garbage over there. I really don't. You know, I don't want to give it to Somali fraudster, even the one that's not fraud. Like, think about how insane this is. If it's fraud, it goes to Somalia terrorist organizations. If it's not fraud, it goes to Somalia gay people. Right? Do you understand the level of bullshit that we're dealing with in this country? The fact that we have our roads are like actual shit, full of potholes and everything, and there's nothing we can do about it. All right, it doesn't matter that you're paying taxes. They're not gonna help you. They're not gonna shovel your snow. They're not gonna do anything like that. Right? They don't care about shit like that. That's not what's important to them. No, not at all. There was like the fires in California that happened. They rebuilt 10 houses since those fires. 10 houses. California has infinite taxes. What are you doing? Like, dude, charity comes from the heart. It comes from the fact that you want to give. That's charity. Taxes are an obligation. They are inherently not charity. All right, and I'm really tired of the government constantly trying to mix the two. Like, oh, the government's the good guys. We're just redistributing the shit. No, it's not charity. Fuck you. Sorry. I don't care if you're Republican, if you're Democrat. All right, in my opinion, the Democrats want more taxes, so they're just bigger thieves. The Republicans want less taxes, so they're smaller thieves. All right, that's where I'm at. Get out of here, bro.
And empty storefronts.
Because in Minnesota, you had these daycares, $1 million, upwards of $3.6 million, but it was kind of in that area of $1 to $3 million, where prior they weren't even chasing after fraud. That was over $1.5 million. Now will that fraud get chased down and those people be prosecuted?
Oh, we are in the middle of that. We are actually going to the auto dealers, and we're asking to see the financial records for their finance subsidiaries.
That's huge.
If you're receiving public assistance, how do you have a Mercedes? How do you have a BMW?
That's right.
So we will track that down.
Nice.
We're also doing a much better job now because the real problem was all areas of government weren't talking, whether it was the agencies here in D.C. or the money was passed on to the states. And what we're really going to push for is transparency, because it was some level of transparency that allowed you to go to all the allowed you to go to the home health care out in LA. But I've spoken to reporters from all over the country, but let's take New York City, for example, especially egregious there. Newspapers there, mainstream journalists, citizen journalists want to do the right thing, but the state or the city doesn't want to give it out. So we are.
It's unacceptable, honestly. Like, if I'm paying my taxes, I should know where the money is going, right? Like, I should be able to understand what the government is doing with the billions of dollars that they're actually playing with, right? Like, just think about it. How unbelievable is this? And then they claim it's a charity. They're like, oh, yeah, it's super charitable. Anyway, we're not going to tell you what we're actually doing with the money.
We're asking for transparency, and I think every citizen should demand from their elected officials, whether it's a red state, a blue state, whether they are far left, far right, right down the middle, that their elected officials give them transparency.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that this
should be a law. I don't even think this is just about like, oh, I think that certain people should be able to complain to their politicians. This should be a law, man. This is our money. I worked for this money. This is my money. Now the government is strong-arming me into giving them the money. At least tell me what you're doing with it, man. Like, I think it's insane that it's not transparent.
money is going to where it's supposed to go. Because, as we saw at the round table out in Minneapolis, because a lot of times when these things get shut down, the money doesn't go to autistic children like it's supposed to, or it doesn't go to our seniors who are supposed to be helped out.
And essentially, if the government and if the local governments and state governments don't make the information public, nobody can actually go and do what I did in Minnesota, or go out and do the fraud finding. So what does it say about these local governments, state governments, when they don't want to make that information public?
Well, it says that there's likely a daisy chain there, that where that there's political patronage, there are political cover-ups, that there's some reason, because everyone, that you swear an oath to your office,
oh, great.
whether it's to your city, to your state, to your country, to do the best you can. And if you're enabling
Yeah, Zoran Mamdani swore on the Quran.
this, you're breaking your vow to the people.
Oh my! A politician breaking his vow to the people? Unheard of. Truly unheard of.
So
Yo, what are you gonna? You're telling me that politicians might not be truthful? That's fiction, bro. What are we talking about here?
a good steward of capital would want to have the money go as far as it can. You would want to help the people in your district, in the country. So I think there's a big chance for a sea change here. And look, I hope the Democrats on the other side of the aisle want to join us in this, because
fraud is not political. This is the most bipartisan shit in the world, unless one party is engaging in fraud a lot more than the other.
Imagine that we could save $500 billion. We could pay down debt. We could cut taxes. We could make sure the money gets to people who are supposed.
I love watching the Bernie Sanderses of the world. They'll go out there and they'll tap dance on the rooftops. This war with Iran is so expensive. We could have used this instead to fund Medicare. I can't believe this war was so expensive. Meanwhile, we're spending probably over 10 times what's on this war on fraud, like taxpayer fraud in the United States. And Bernie Sanders doesn't seem to give a shit about that.
These people were able to just steal and literally loot the American taxpayer for years on end. And there wasn't really a program to make sure that nobody was actually giving money to fraudsters. So now the Do Not Pay program that you guys have set up, how will that help eliminate the fraud? And like, for instance, was HHS talking with the Treasury when they would see a flaw? Or
Never before. And
that's crazy.
The other vulnerability that we saw was TSA, which everyone sees at the airport, which is part of Homeland Security, that if you showed up, you're not supposed to, well, you can, but if you had more than $10,000, you're supposed to declare it.
Yeah, bullshit
people
rules.
We're actually declaring it at Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, but the declaration forms just went into a filing cabinet. So now we are mapping those against people who are receiving benefits.
Like, so much bureaucracy is just bullshit, man.
And, watch this space. But I think we're going to have some they were trying to take the money out of the country, disappears, overseas.
To Somalia.
Perhaps goes into terrorist networks. But watch this space. We're going to have some big announcements on what we found going through and just matching up data. The data was always there. It was just getting the departments and the systems to talk to each other.
That's crazy.
So now essentially,
I feel like you can get AI to do this shit. You put in ultimately you don't want to put a lot of info into AI, but imagine how easy it would be to aggregate all of the government payouts and then just be like, hey, what's a red flag? AI would pick up on this shit immediately.
all the departments will be able to work together, because prior they were not, correct?
Not at all. Not at all.
Shocking.
And we're going to restaff the departments back to their pre-COVID levels in terms of the people who are supposed to work there to stop this waste, fraud, and abuse.
And so with all this fraud, how much money do you think each year the government is giving to fraudsters, or was giving?
Well, we think it could be $250 to $500 billion, so roughly 10% of the total federal.
That's crazy. For those of you keeping track, the Iran war was $20 billion so far. Dude, $250 to $500 billion on fraud? Oh my God.
Federal budget. And like I said, 20% of the whole GDP of the U.S. Goes through Washington. So if you take 20%, then 10% of 20%, 2%.
This is just what I mean. And politicians have no accountability for this shit. This is our money, our tax dollars that they're playing with. And they have no accountability if they just let it disappear. And it's insane. And, every job in the world, except for working for the government, it seems, means that you have accountability for whatever you're doing. All right, if your job is to fix cars and you end up breaking the car completely, you're going to have to pay for that damages. Like if you're a dentist and you're going to break your client's teeth, they're going to sue the shit out of you. All right, but with the government, we don't even know where the money is going. We don't know what they're doing. We can't sue them for defrauding us because we have no idea what they're doing, and they don't even tell us what they're doing. It is the only job where they have no accountability for their client's shit.
Percent of our GDP was being lost to these fraudsters. And again, it's a complete loss of trust between our citizens. And at the end of the day, as we approach the 250th, I think we should kind of reaffirm everyone wants to be a good citizen. They want to help their communities. They want to help their states. They want to be
Not everyone.
proud of the U.S., but we can't be proud of this.
I think something super important you talked about, now you guys are going after the places where these people are buying cars, and you're going after the banks you announced the other day. What will that look like? What does that do when you guys actually go after the banks for this fraud?
Well, again, so they're the banks, they're the auto finance components, there are the other thing, the money store businesses in the places like Minneapolis that was wiring money out of the country. So again, they have to.
Just the idea that foreigners are able to come into our country and wire money out of the country is insane to me. Like, you are trying your absolute best to immigrate to the United States of America, and you're fucking sending money overseas. It's like, you are not trying to integrate into American culture. You're not trying to make a better life for yourself here. You're literally just here as a parasite to fund your little fucking shithole that you came from. Like, it's so obvious, and I don't know why people don't care about this.
To be on notice. They are supposed to notify us of suspicious activities, and it's going to be incumbent. We have something here called FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and once we receive those notifications, it's going to be on us to follow up.
So the fraudsters shouldn't be driving around in luxury anymore.
Well, they shouldn't be driving around in luxury, and the people who are supposed to get the benefits shouldn't be going without.
And if somebody does have a tip, if they do want to be a whistleblower and get a percentage of whatever that is,
You too can be a bounty hunter.
what's the simplest way for someone to do that?
Go to treasury.gov. Top of our website is an icon. In the corner, click on that, and it will take you right to the site where you can report anything. If you see something, say something.
It's as simple as that. Seeing something, say something. You don't need to make a viral video to help your community.
Nope.
You can actually just submit a tip to you guys.
Exactly.
How many tips have you guys gotten so far?
We've gotten more than 700.
So 700
Pretty
fraudsters
good.
are on the watch now.
They should know we're coming for them. And again, citizen
That was the least threatening threat I've ever heard in my life.
journalists, the good citizens who want to do the right thing and get a reward.
When can we expect to see some of these people get arrested
There
and
it is.
prosecuted?
Again, as I said, watch this space. I think we're going to have some big announcements very soon.
Last question. How come in Minnesota, somebody who commits fraud only is getting, for instance, they're involved in Feeding Our Future. They got 1 year
Yeah.
of prison time. Do you guys have any say-so over that, or is that the state government?
That is that's U.S. Attorney. But what we are going to do is we can use IRS criminal investigations, so they can put together cases. U.S. Attorney's Office can do it, but a lot of these sentencing guidelines have been very lax. So it's like I said, the best thing we can do is to
Absolutely squash them. Old Testament level justice on their asses.
keep the money from going out. And the best thing we can do is put fear into these fraudsters
That's
that
right.
you will be caught.
Put the fear of God in these motherfuckers.
You will be caught, and
And you will send them to a labor camp until they pay off their debt. Say the word, Scott Bessent. Do it. Look, man, I feel like this is such a good solution.
that it's going to stop.
Thank you very much. I do feel grateful that due to some of the work that one person in David, for instance, in Minnesota is able to do along my side, we actually have been able to create change here inside the government, which I think is a broader message to people here in the United States that you can make a difference for the country.
And look, I think every citizen, like I said, the far left, far right, right down the middle, should demand transparency.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Good. Thanks, Zach.
So right for that. Absolutely. No, that was really good, actually. It really is nice to see that the actual voice of the citizen does matter. You know, it really does finally matter. I feel like for the first time ever, maybe, and not enough, don't get me wrong, or we'd be seeing mass deportations, loading illegals on trebuchets and launching them across the Pacific. I mean, that's what I would do if I was president. No one's voting for me for president, though, so don't worry about that, illegals. Don't worry. I would put every fraudster in a labor camp to pay up every single cent that they stole. But don't worry, I'm not going to be a president. At least not yet. So maybe not to the fullest extent are we being listened to. Obviously, I don't think politicians will ever fully listen to the will of the people. because I do think that just by the fact that these people are in government for like forever, they're all corrupt to some extent. But the reality is, they are listening somewhat. We are actually making a difference. And I don't think I've ever seen, definitely not in my lifetime, politicians care about what the actual individual citizens have said.